Hi, in this video, we're going to learn all about the Microsoft Translation Services and how do you integrate that inside your own application and Power Apps. So stay tuned. All right, so we built an application over the past few days that integrates with Salesforce.com. And our today's video is all about us wanting to communicate with our customers in their native language. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It's an AI-based language that's going to be reading out a paragraph about to send to a customer and translating it into their own language. However, we might make a mistake, right? But it gives us 90% of the way there, especially if we have language barriers with our customers. So in this video, we're going to use a Microsoft Translation Services, which is a built-in to Power Apps, or not built into Power Apps, but it's a connector inside of Power Apps. So let's take a look at our application that we've already built, and I've made some slight alterations to our applications to kind of get us a little farther along here. So inside the application, we are going to pull up the good old-fashioned Pragmatic Works company resource. And then I'm going to select Brian Knight, and I'll hit this little mail icon. This is a new piece I built while you guys were away. Now, you'll notice that right now this email address is grayed out, that whenever I type in a valid email address, like whatever@whatever.com, it actually lights up now. Now, we'll be discussing that tomorrow's video, but today we're going to focus on how do we now in turn make this that center text there translatable. So let me exit this. And let's give these a little better names now too. I have Rich Text Editor, terrible name, right? So let's go ahead and give us a better name now. So let's go ahead and call this just RT, Rich Text, TXT, and we'll call this email body. Okay, so, and then our email address is up here, so we'll just give that a little slightly better name just so we can kind of keep track of that as well. TXT, email address. Okay, with that now done, we want to translate that. So we're going to build a drop-down box that will then ask the customer what is the a language they want to translate this to, and then secondarily, it will actually translate that area. So first of all, to add this connector, we'll go over to View, and we'll add data sources, and we'll go ahead and add a data source here for Microsoft Translator services. And you'll see it here in a moment. I've already added it, but you'll see it right here. This one's actually pretty simple to use. It's only going to require a few parameters. It's going to require, hey, what is the text that you want to translate? And then secondarily, what is the language you want to translate it to? They also have an API for detecting the language, and then one that will actually read the language to you and narrate, in whatever language you wish. So one thing to note here also is you only do get 100 calls per user per day with the free plan. Now you can upgrade to the pay plan and get a lot more than that, but out of the box, it's 100 per user per day. All right, so back over here again. Let's insert a drop-down box that we can then use for all of our areas. So we'll insert a control here, drop-down. And let's give this a better name, so we'll be calling this quite a few times. We'll call it drop-down. And let's call this language selector. Okay. And right now we have the value of 1, which is not going to work. So let's go ahead and find a way to use this. So if I type in Microsoft here, you'll see it pops the translator services up. Now you'll notice when I select languages, it kind of is going to build this out for me. And if I close the parenthesis, it's going to build a list of languages, but it's going to choose the wrong values for that list of languages, like AF. Nobody's going to know what AF is probably, or they may or may not know what EN means. So there's multiple columns we have inside this. You'll notice there's a code and there's a name. So if I select names, I get a list of the names like English and Spanish and French and all that. However, I don't get the codes. This is where our handy show columns function is going to come in play. So we'll go ahead and type in show columns, open parenthesis. We'll then specify what is our data source. So we'll use the languages data source. There we go. And then we'll specify what codes we want. We want to get the name as one column, and then we want the code as a second column. Oops. There we go. The code will be our second column. Now by doing this, it's going to give us a list of the languages, and as a hitchhiker, it will also give us the code for that, like ES for Spanish and EN for English, for example. So we can reference both of those columns inside that same drop-down box. So we also have the ability to default this. So I'm going to assume the default language we're going to go with here is going to be English. So let's go ahead and select that, default, and we'll just default that to just English. There we go. All right, so there we go. When we come here fresh from scratch, we'll see what we're seeing right now. Next, let's actually translate this text above it. So this one's actually even easier. So I put some just default text in here right now. Please look into this lead, and then the lead name, and so on. You know, not perfect, but it gives us kind of going here. And it is HTML right now we're seeing is in this as well. So to do this, we're going to wrap all this in one big function, and that is the Microsoft Translator function. So I'll go ahead and Microsoft Translator. There we go. And .translate. We'll open parenthesis, pass in, there we go, open parenthesis, pass in our text that we have right here. Okay. Now, after we do that, we'll do a comma, and we'll specify the language that we want to use here also. So in our case, it's going to be the drop-down. All right, there we go. Not drop-down sample, it's going to, I think I call it DD, there we go, DD language selector, and dot. Now you'll notice here, what we have, when I do selected, dot, we can see we have access to the code and the name. We need the code for Microsoft Translator, which will be EN for English, not English fully spelled out. So there we go. Now we're getting it all spelled out here. Now the API looks a little bit sluggish right now. Normally it's not. It's because I'm recording right now. Normally it'd be much faster. Okay. So now if I hit the drop-down box and I pick Filipino, for example. There we go. We're getting the exact language here in Tagalog here versus, or Filipino, versus English now. Now, we also want to have the ability to read this text. And it's got one of the interesting abilities of this connector is the ability to do more audio-based dictation. So where we can actually turn this text into speech that we can listen to. So even though the customer may not be, if we get the email, we can actually listen to that text in our own native language versus whatever language the customer might be in. So back over here again, let's go ahead and add an audio control now. So I'll go to Insert, and I want to, under Media here, add an audio control. There we go. I'll put this in the bottom here. Now this one's going to be a little interesting. So we'll go Microsoft Translator, and we have this text-to-speech method here also. Now the text-to-speech method, again, it's going to help us write all the code. It'll ask us what query we want to go with. So let's go ahead and, again, focus on the target text is going to be the what's in this box right here. So that's a drop-down box, or the drop-down box, but the what I call that, text email body. There we go. Comma, what language we want to translate it to. It's going to be whatever language we have here, so we'll be drop down. Language selector, dot selected, dot code. Okay. Now, after we do that, we can pick a language. It's giving us a little grief right now, but it'll come back here in a second. We can hit this little Alt button, hit the play button, and you may not be able to hear my speakers because it's actually going through this other method right now. Let me see what it's complaining about right now. My guess, it is complaining about, as you can see, I think it's an API issue here. So it's complaining about the API. I don't know how to handle that API right now. So again, if I select it again, and let's see what we got here. So let's see, we got the text to body, the language selector. No, this is correct. .code. Oh, I see the problem. That's my problem. I didn't specify what's actually in that text. So I have to pop in the HTML text there. There we go. All right, now with that done, we should now see. Let me go ahead and play this real quick. Change this now into Dutch. There we go. Hit the play button. And you can't hear on my speaker. Let me kind of replay it up again here. I'll put my speaker close here so you can hear it. Let's see. Oop. Okay. Let's try this one more time.
Kijk naar deze leiding, bijnaam, Brian Knight.
A little robotic, right? But you are able to hear the text. And again, if you're a Spanish speaker, this is going to be an easy one. Hop down to Spanish, you'll actually recognize it in this case. Now, it's doing some interesting things around my name, but putting caballero, oh, that's actually pretty darn good this time. There we go. So this is allowing us now to translate the language into numerous areas also. There's one more quick tip I was going to give you also. I wanted small talk with this customer as well, and I had a question about this in our chat window earlier, is how do we integrate weather inside this as well? So there's a control that we have access to as well, not a control, but a connection. So under data sources, I've already added MSN weather, and this is going to allow you to pop in today's weather in that city, so I can make some small talk with the customer. How's the weather, and whatever. So not as a common scenario, but something that's kind of interesting. I've had a few questions about. I'll pop in that label right here, and we'll just go ahead and say today's weather. There we go. And we'll go ahead, and you'll notice this is the MSN weather. If I type in ampersand MSN weather, and we can see the current weather right here. We have access to the current weather, the forecast, and all those kind of goodies inside of here. We will then open parenthesis and then pass in like the account that they selected in an earlier screen. So I want to get the account browse and get that customer's city and state. Selected dot billing city. And then I need to do a comma, so I'm going to go ahead and append in a comma now. And also do the same thing, GAL account browse dot selected dot billing state. Too many entries inside of Salesforce here. All right, so now we get that. The last thing we need to do is specify what weather units do we want. Are we talking about imperial system, or are we talking about the metric system? We'll go imperial since I'm in the US right now. Close the parenthesis there. And in a few moments here, looking pretty good here. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, I see what the problem is. We then have to specify there's a few more things this one needs. So we do dot, and it has a whole bunch of stuff that it needs. I want to get the responses, and the responses has a weather, and the weather is going to have a current temperature, and the current temperature is going to have a whole bunch of things in here, like if you may want to see, what is it? How do you describe the weather right now? In a moment, it's about a 30-second delay there. If I do like sky, I think it's called. There we go. You'll see there's actually, you get the UV index. The sky will show you to tell you if it's raining right now, if it's scattered thunderstorms, what that looks like, SKT. Now the one that you care about though is of course the temperature. So I'll specify temperature now, and now we're going to get the current weather for right now here in this customer's location. So it's 79 degrees. That sounds like great for me, since I'm in Jacksonville where it's like 100 degrees out right now. So in this video, we showed you how to do a few things, but the translator service is the main focus on this video. So in the translator service, you can detect the language, you can have it speak the language to you, you can also have it go through and translate, of course, obviously, as well. So those three core functionalities, you get 100 of those per day, and you can upgrade to the pay plan to get more than that also. But that's 100 per user per day, not as a company. Hope you enjoyed this presentation. This is part of our class at Pragmatic Works that you'll see the description down below. Please also do subscribe to this. And if you want us to build your applications for you, please come to our website or email me at bknight@pragmaticworks.com. And we'd love to help you with your Power Apps needs also. Have a great day.